Are so excited not only to have you at our Austin, Texas event as one of our hosts, but for you doing this little mini podcast interview. We're so excited to
Sure.
have you, Devin.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
this like
well,
topic is really near and dear to my heart, so I'm
I
looking
know, right? Such a good topic. And before we really dive into sort of like the meat of the interview, I'd love to just kind of hear just like a quick snippet of how you got to where you are today, your career
Oh
journey.
yeah. Yeah, I'd love to. So this is why it's so near and dear to me because networking is kind of the main reason, so I was, gosh, like 27 and I had had my third child and had no career, was really just, I had three under four at this point and was really stay-at-home mom, homeschooling, and like doing all the stay-at-home mom things. And, we were renovating homes and I was just busy at home. And so I just did not think of a career in any sense of the word until, we had our third and I was like, what is the direction of my life? Like, I know one day they're going to be gone and I want something. And I had a 1 month old on my lap, was scrolling Instagram at 2 in the morning and saw Steve from Sinclair Moore doing
Yeah.
a live floral demonstration. And I was like, I could crush this. Like I saw it, fell in love with it, had never been introduced to the wedding industry at all. It just popped up and I was like, man, this looks like really fun.
Yeah.
So we just dove in. Like I started like a floral garden at my house, like a cut garden, and I started doing floral out of my garage. I started telling people like I do weddings now, and I would like stay up late YouTubing things to figure out how
That is so cute.
to even do mechanics or installations and all of that.
Yeah.
So that was about September when I saw his video, and by February 4th, tomorrow, I had my business license in the mail, like it had arrived. And so it was very quick. But that April, I had my first wedding, and I went to the Seattle Growers Market, and I bumped into Steve. Had never interacted with him before, never met him. It was back when Sinclair Moore still did floral for weddings, and so he was there picking up an order and he was on his phone at the checkout. And I was like, I'm going to be so annoying right now. This is kind of the crux of networking, I feel like, where you're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to bother this person. And I had no intentions of building anything with him. I was just like, man, I just want to thank him because he's the reason I'm even standing here, right?
Yeah.
So I went up to him. I was like, hey, I'm so sorry if this is annoying. But my name's Devin. I saw a live video ages ago and now I'm doing my first wedding and I just want to thank you. And he immediately put his phone in his pocket, was totally zeroed in on our conversation, was just like, tell me more. Like he was so sincere, in his response. And by the end of the conversation, I had like 10 followers and my mom on Instagram at that point. And he pulled out his phone. He's like, what's your username? And he instantly followed me. And from that point, he just watched me grow. And I started sharing more things like overall wedding design, not just floral, but I could kind of catch myself like, I
Hmm.
didn't know at the time, but I didn't really want to work for myself. I kind of wanted to catch someone else's vision. So he just watched me grow. And over time, he was like, hey, I wonder if you might come help me out. Or, we have this wedding that I think you could do the design boards for. And it was just more and more invitations to work with him until, it grew from carrying buckets at his events to sitting down with his clients and hearing about their weddings and designing for them. So it just naturally grew. But that connection led to so many others, obviously, in the wedding industry. So over time, I got other offers from planners to freelance for them because I knew Steve. And it
Hmm.
just was this sort of really interconnected thing that I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting. Like when I walked up to him, which I
Right.
realize a lot of people do now working for him for so long,
Hmm.
it's not unusual to be out at the airport and people will come say hi to us or to him and introduce themselves. It's not unusual. And so knowing that now and how much care he takes to really engage with that person every time, whenever he can,
Yeah.
that it changed the whole trajectory of my career. I only did floral for 2.5, 3 years and started to scale and then realized floral is a very physically demanding job. And I was like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to do this forever.
Right.
So it kind of just organically turned into planning. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today, just planning away and doing design and loving it.
Devin, I had no idea. This is the first time I'm hearing this story. It feels so fate-like. It's incredible that from just scrolling in the middle of the night, being in full-blown mom mode, to working for this person.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's crazy, right?
It's a
It's
little bit
honestly
miraculous.
I well, honestly, like I think it's so funny because a lot of people will share what's inspiring them, and I'm like, keep doing it. Like, keep
Yeah.
doing that because you don't know who's watching. You really
Right.
don't. And the fact that, at times we have these moments of I had full-blown imposter syndrome walking into the floral market.
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Moore is standing there, but I'm also, I'm like, I'm such a fake. Like, why am I here? And there's so much I learned at that wedding. Like, I attended workshops that year,
Mm,
and really dug myself in deep to weddings and trying to understand. I did the work, right? But
right.
that seed that was planted so long ago is really what brought about a lot of my career now, where I'm just like, yes, I can look and see how hard I worked, but if
Mhm.
I had not done the embarrassing thing of just walking up and being like, hey, this is probably so annoying, but I really admire your work, and I'm really glad that you shared a while ago, and I just wanted to introduce myself, and
Yeah.
it was within 2 years that Steve was like, hey, DMing me on Instagram, hey, I've been watching your
Right.
work. Do you want to have a chat today? And then he just offered me multiple freelance opportunities, and that
Mhm.
grew into meeting other planners and freelancing for them, and then
Mhm.
eventually working full time for him. I worked for other planners. Like, it's just all these opportunities that came out of that one moment of just
Right.
being a little embarrassed, but
Yeah,
just putting yourself out there, and to tie
absolutely.
into why you invited me here today. I feel like that is the purest form of networking, where you're just like, I'm not really trying to further my own thing. Like, in the purest form, I think networking is kind of what Steve did, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
your success is my success, or I'm here to watch. I'm here to encourage you and cheer you on. And it's just so, when it's authentic,
Hmm.
it's everything. Like, it changes the
Right.
whole game.
And
Yeah.
I think that's why it was so successful for you. That was such an authentic, real, true moment. Like you were inspired by Steve. He was sort of that seed, that inspiration to like why you started your career. And I think I love that it's also a testament to like the long game, right? It's not like you met Steve
Yes.
and then a month later, it was like 2 years, like over time, and it was like
Mhm.
step by step. And I think sometimes when it comes to networking, it's really hard to have that mindset of like, this is the 5 year, 10 year plan,
Yes.
like the decisions that I make today are going to impact my career, who knows, in 10
Yeah.
plus years, right? So I love
Yeah,
that.
I could have never predicted. Now, looking back, I would tell everyone who wants to get into planning that you should always start in production. Always start in the back end. Don't just approach it like, I'm going to plan this timeline and it'll just come out the way that I think it will.
Right.
You have to have a full understanding of the back end, and that's kind of, I crept forward. I didn't start in the
Yeah.
front. I really did start in the back, carrying buckets, slinging flowers, like working until 2 in the morning, and then you kind of just move forward with these connections. And the funny thing is, a while ago, I was staying in Dana Point at the Waldorf Astoria, and someone was performing there for another event. I wasn't even working.
Mhm.
Um, and he was just so massively talented that
Yeah.
I instantly went up to him. He's literally performing because I was like, it's 2 in the morning. I have to go to bed. I was just walking by and I stood there and
Yeah.
watched him for a while. But he's so talented. And the other day, this is a year and a half later, I recommended him to a client today because I was like, he has such a vibe, such a cool sound, very LA, very neat. Like, it would just be such a cool ceremony vibe or cocktail or something.
Right.
And he has no idea. But
Yeah.
like that seed that he planted, I mean, he paused for a moment, was like, this is my Instagram, and then just kept playing. And I
Yeah.
messaged him and was like, hey, I'm gonna find the perfect thing for you someday. So I think we just, when it's in its purest form, it's innocent and it's very like, sometimes you go to events, and this is my one thing about networking. I think there's a flip side to the coin where, kind of like you said, there's this imagination that people come in thinking, with rose-colored lenses, someone's going to discover me at this thing, or someone's going to,
Right.
so when people meet me, they will go, what do you do? And I'll say, I'm a wedding planner. And the conversation kind of continues, and they'll go, well, who do you work for? What's your Instagram? And I'll say, who I work for. And their eyes just get like so, it's like, they've finally engaged in the conversation. And I'm like, I know you're seeing all these potential opportunities that you could have, but just plant the seed. Just be authentic and just connect level with me. Like, I think when the tone of the conversation goes like this throughout, because you're learning about that person, it's like, just be authentic, just connect with them in a very intentional way. And it makes such a difference, because if I feel like someone's using me to get to a certain point,
Mm-hmm.
I will maybe try to forget you, because I don't want to work with people who are just trying to further themselves. On
Yeah.
site, it's about contributing in the most creative way that gives the guests and the clients the best experience possible. It's not about being the star or being the diva or being the one that shows up and is just like, I made it. Like,
Yeah,
that's not what
100%.
we're doing. Like,
I
yeah.
think our industry could take note on this. Like, it's not about you, it's about the client
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And I think sometimes, especially when we work with planners, sometimes we don't even meet the client or know a lot about them, right? Because as a floral designer or, event production, we're strictly just working with you. And so it's hard
Yeah.
sometimes to keep that there are real humans, at the end of this goal who we are serving
Yes.
ultimately. Um,
Yeah.
so I love that reminder. And okay, so thinking of that, so you sort of shared a little bit of, one of the questions that I had was how can you make a lasting impression at the event? And so I
Yeah.
love your thoughts on being authentic, like plant the seeds, like don't expect to go from 0 to 100. But what are your thoughts on like keeping that relationship strong? Yeah, because as a planner, I'm sure you are bombarded with DMs or emails from people. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how someone who you did have an authentic connection with, how can they keep that relationship going?
Mhm. That's a really good question. I try to think, I'm trying to think of the people who have really sustained in my mind, like a standing is the wrong word. A relationship is a better word. They
Mhm.
are the people who do not care if they get to work with you or not
Mhm.
because they know that, like you said, like the long game is incredibly important. When you plant those seeds at the beginning of a relationship and you're just like, hey, if I'm at, I'm local to Dallas. And so I often get asked, like, hey, I'm going to be in town. We have friends who are doing a wedding here next week. And so I'm not working with any of them, but I'm getting lunch. Like, it just how, like, you sustain those relationships in a way that I've never felt. A lot of the people that I will continue to have a relationship with are the ones who just care about the relationship. They know that I'm going to say their name in a room full of opportunities. They know that I'm here for them and cheering them on and excited to see them grow.
Mhm.
But it might not necessarily be with my clients, but I have my ear to the ground and I'm waiting for the right opportunity to recommend them.
Yeah.
The problem with being in sort of more of a luxury market is there's fewer opportunities throughout the year. We take on a smaller
Mhm.
group of clients. And so the, our utmost is typically to serve the client and to make sure that the aesthetic thereafter is delivered. And if
Yeah.
that doesn't fit, or if you don't, if as a vendor, photographer, videographer, anyone, if you don't fit within that aesthetic, then to graciously accept that and know, I still have you in mind. Like, I
Yeah.
still am, like, if I hear of an opportunity, I'm here for you.
Mhm.
Um, but to know that, like we mentioned earlier, it's not networking is not necessarily a self-serving thing. It's not meant to be this thing where I'm like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna get discovered, I'm gonna meet the right person that just
Yeah.
sends my career to this place.
Mhm.
It's incremental. It's a long game. It's really like building those relationships until some of my favorite photographers that we recommend in a small grouping of here's who we think would deliver on that. And it's ultimately up to them. And we can steer them
Right.
as much as we want.
Mhm.
There's been times where I've had to let down vendors and be like, look, I advocated for you. I really thought you were a good fit. But at the end of the day, like it really is about what the client connects to. And you
Right.
can't force that. And
Right.
so when I look at the long-term relationship building, I would say just stay in it. Like there's no limit to the opportunities you could receive.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, understanding that graciously accepting that like we only have so much control over your success, but I'm still here for that success.
Yeah.
I'm still here for it.
I love that because it kind of feels a little bit like a low-key friendship almost in a way,
Yeah, yeah,
like it's just like caring about another person and their success, whether you're working with them or not. And I think
yes,
when we think about an actual wedding day production, you're having the most fun and you have the most trust when you're working with the people who you really know and who really align with you. And sometimes maybe that's a low-key friendship or like
yes.
low-key, like really good colleague relationship. So I love that. Besides your amazing story with Steve and that sort of connection, do you have any other stories of how a really meaningful connection was made that sort of projectile, Sinclair and Moore's career or that person that you connected with career at a networking event?
There have actually been outside of the networking arena, there have been lots of instances where a client will bring someone to us,
Mm.
like the Downtown Band or Megan Noel. Those were both deep connections that I refer them to a lot of our clients now.
Mhm.
that our client brought to us and said, hey, they work this other wedding.
Mhm.
And then from those connections have been lots of other ones. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't at this point underestimate the fact that you can make so many connections outside of networking events.
Yeah.
However, like these events that you attend do really propel and kind of accelerate that process quite a bit more because you're kind of thrown into this deep pool of so much talent.
Mhm.
And so, you know, the one that I've been to the most is probably the Jordan Con Christmas concert.
Mhm.
And in that pool, it's very, you have a wide range
Right.
of talent, of cost, of all of it, right? So it's very hard to, as a planner, to have a very I would say neutral. I usually try to approach networking with a very neutral, like there's so much coming at you that it's a lot of defensive. But what
Mhm.
I love is the people like Megan at these events will be standing together. And the moment someone enters, let's say Brian walks up to this group, she'll go, Brian, I'm so glad to see you. Have you met Devin? Every
Yeah.
single, like literally every opportunity that she has, she's connecting people on a really organic way. She's like, I really feel like you guys should be connected. She's very authentic about it. And so for me, it just always comes back to that. It's never like a fake sort of like someone's using you to get ahead sort of
Right.
vibe.
Yeah.
Um, and at networking, I do tend to have like a more of a rose-colored lens when it comes to vendors approaching me or me just introducing myself. Be like, hey, I heard you have, this great talent to do. I've seen your work. I followed you for a while. Tell me more about how you got started. Like having those intentional conversations has made a lot of difference in who we recommend in the long run,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
Well, and it says a lot if a friend, someone you trust, someone like Megan Knoll, is introducing you to someone. Like you know that she's introducing someone who she really thinks you'll find value in, like in that partnership and in that relationship. I
Mhm.
also love that you said kind of earlier at the beginning how some of your, most treasured partnerships have come from the client themselves and how
Yeah.
you never know when someone's watching. You went to a hotel, you saw that, that musician playing, like you had no
You
idea.
never know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know as a photographer what guests are watching you,
Mhm.
what, even just outside of wedding industry professional rooms, just even client rooms and people's homes. And it just shows, I mean, it adds a little bit of pressure to like perform your best, during a wedding,
Yes.
but you just like
Mhm.
never know when someone's watching and how that will really impact your career later. So I really
Yeah,
like,
honestly, there's been so many instances where a client will go, I love all your recommendations. What do you think of this person? And I'm like, oh, like you kind of throw up your hands. You're like, I know what's good, right? I know what you're telling me, and this is how we can deliver that. But then when they bring that winner, you're just like, oh yeah, this could work. And you start to kind of catch their vision and what they're looking for. It's a fine line between being like, trust my expertise and kind of holding their hand and being like, there's give on other areas. Um, I love to have a critical eye in my job and just be like, yes, there is a standard for certain clients. But when they bring a winner and you're like, their work looks great, their website looks great, their portfolio is amazing, they've worked with this person, I could probably call them and get a recommendation. Like, this seems like a legit thing.
yeah.
You get on the phone and you're just like, what is your process on site? What's your mentality? And if you get that vibe, Steve and I were just talking recently, and I'm gonna steal his quote. I told him he needs to write it down and take credit for it. When he writes a book someday, I'm like, this needs to go in it. He said there's a difference between vendors who have this mentality of you're lucky to have me versus vendors who say, I'm so blessed to be here. Like
Mhm.
there's that humility that you approach. And I'm not trying to build myself up here, but when I approached Steve, I was in no position to be like, so what do you do? Like I was not on a high horse. I
Yeah.
was in a very humble state of I'm just happy to meet you. Like, I'm just happy to make this connection. If he forgets about me 5 seconds from now, I'll completely understand. But just that it always comes back to the authentic for me. Like, why are you actually having the conversation? Why are you actually approaching this person? Is it so you can live in the limelight a little bit, or is it so you can make a genuine connection that might stand the test of time? It might not, but I was not meeting Steve to go, I met Steve Moore. Like I wasn't like
Yeah.
trying to live in this situation where, it was a very humbling thing to be like, I don't know anything about weddings. Hello.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, it
that
was
quote is
different.
gold. Hopefully he does put that trademark.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like he's gonna watch this and be like, You stole my quote.
Yeah, I will
Good
hashtag
one.
Steve, Steve Moore quote. Um,
Yeah,
no, I love that. And I think that's so true. And you can really sniff it out, I feel like.
you can.
We've gone to enough events and we've worked with enough people. You can tell the difference between
Intuition's a really powerful thing in networking.
it
You
really
can
is.
smell it. You can kind of feel when, and I'm not naturally a skeptical person. I like to believe it's just, I used to think it was a flaw. Now I like that about myself. I like that I give people the benefit of the doubt before I know anything about them. You have my trust. It's not a thing I would tell my daughters to be like, but I
Yeah.
do feel like in this industry, especially, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt that, look, a lot of them are business owners. A lot of them are people who are just trying to make it. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I want to meet all of them. I want to give them those opportunities. Because as planners, I'll admit that we have a large megaphone with our clients and we really do have the potential to change someone's career in a large way. The problem is, I think a lot of vendors know that. I think that a lot of people will probably try to take advantage of that. So there is a part of you that is just like, I'm on my guard a little bit.
Hmm.
But for the most part, I really do try to go into these things feeling like I would love to connect with someone who has the client in mind, who has the creative mind, who has a team mentality. Like those are the biggest things I kind of look for is are you there to serve the client or are you there to serve yourself? Like ultimately it kind of comes you can have both. You can do both.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
but why are we chatting particularly is kind of yeah, you can smell it for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
Devin, we're really excited to have you as a host at Austin, Texas. Thank you so much for being here. Seriously, this was great.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. When you said this was about networking, I was like, oh, the whole reason I'm even sitting here talking to Katie is because of this seed that was planted back in 2019. Was my first wedding. Yeah.
I love that. Well, and I don't know if you remember, but you and I met at the Jordan Con Orchestra several years ago, and Heather, um, oh, what is her business name? She's the floral designer out of Georgia. She
Mm.
introduced us, and that's how I got to
Pearl
meet
and
you.
Sky. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Heather.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so I just, same when we were like putting together this event,
I
when we were
remember, I
putting
think
together,
I did. Someone asked me, like, so how did you get introduced to Katie? And I was like, I think I started following her a while back, a while
yeah,
ago. It must have been right around the concert.
yeah, I know.
So
So
funny.
I love that even you and I have that seed planted relationship. And now
Yes.
we're here. Now you're going to be a host for ITC. I just love it so much. Just like so
It's
amazing.
such a testament to the long game. I
It
feel
really
like
is.
that's such an underestimated element to networking is plant the seed and just be cool. Like just, I get that
Really,
there's an urgency to build your business, but it really
right.
is about the long game for sure.
Really. Yeah, because that was over 2 years ago now. So anyways, I love it. Thank you so much, Devin. I know you're
Oh,
busy.
my pleasure.